Good evening. This is the Town of Carver Planning Board meeting of April 2nd, 2013. If we could please all stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I think Kevin would like to say something.
Yes. Unfortunately, our good friend John Ranella left us on Easter, and I just wanted to say God bless him and his family, and if we could just take a moment of silence to appreciate what he did for this town and the impact he had on our town.
Thank you, Kevin. And we also like to, Rosemary had an operation on her, in her arm. We'd like to hope her a speedy recovery. And that's why she isn't here tonight with us. All right, an appointment tonight, Steve Dewhurst from Semantics LTD.
It's actually Semantics Consulting, Inc., but LTD is close enough.
Yeah, that was my bad.
Yeah, I drive a Corolla, not an LTD. I'm here at your invitation. Feel free to ask me anything. I don't have anything prepared.
Mr. Chair, this was something that I request. We had Steve in front of the Redevelopment Authority talking about what his company was offering to the town on this kind of, I want to say it might be, and correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, a multimedia asset. And I know I presented you guys with a brief thing where I thought would be wonderful for this board to have this. It would help us not only for presenting stuff to the citizens at home while we're having our hearings, but also within the screen, depending on what it was, whether it was a TV or I forget the other projector thing that you had talked about, that the people in the audience and also us, but most important, the people at home will be able to see clearly exactly what it was. And the cost savings that I thought would be essential for us was if we couldn't get our consultants in here, meaning Fuss and O'Neill, we pay him when he comes from Rhode Island to and fro. And say that he was running late or something like that, and we had a hearing going on, we'd be able to interact with him. And I thought it was a real important thing that we at least took a look at what Steve's company was offering, maybe ask some questions to Steve, get a little bit more feel for this. I thought it was a nice asset for us. So that's why I asked you guys, and we've invited Steve. So I don't know if I
If
just
you'd like,
kind
I
of went
can
over
give
it really quick, but if you could.
I can give a quick overview of what was proposed. For this, well, it was a two-part gift. Where am I coming from? Just being on various boards, as most people here have been over the years, it's really painful to try to get anything done in a quick and efficient manner without the proper equipment. I mean, nowadays, we shouldn't be dealing with paper so much because information changes so rapidly. For something like the website committee where I'm currently serving, it's impossible to have an effective meeting without an internet connection that everybody can see because we're all working on the website together and we have to share information. For people at home, we want to be able to deliver information to them in real time. So a meeting like this, you could have a late-breaking event that you might want to post on the website for people at home watching to see. In this particular room, it's very difficult if we have a full audience here for everybody to see it. I mean, right now we have a 1980s LCD projector projecting onto that wall right over the thermostat, whereas in fact what we probably should have is a couple of really reasonable projection facilities to show it on both walls with a direct connection to the equipment for CCAT So the people at home will actually see a real good image instead of a rebroadcast image that's reflected off a wall. Then there's the question of efficiency. Trying to run an effective meeting, it's good just to be able to come up here, like Jack can come up here, dump a presentation on the website, come up here, take his remote keyboard and bring it up right here on both screens. That's going to save you how much time, Jack?
Quite a bit.
And that saves the town money.
And
It
people
makes-
can see it.
and people can
don't have
actually
a
see it.
problem seeing things.
And when you dump it on the website for later projection here, the people in the room can see it, the people at home can see it, and most important for open meetings, it's a record of what happened at the meeting, and anybody can save it and refer to it. It shows people that your government is open and responsible and responsive. And it's dead cheap to do. It'll save us more money than it will cost me.
If I could, Mr. Chair. And I understand what you've been talking about, and I've talked about this before. In the town of Dennis, the town planner down there has I think one of the best websites that I've seen cranking around, where especially his multimedia stuff that he does during his meetings is awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And what Steve was suggesting, that Jack would have his keyboard upload a presentation. For example, we'd have, say, a subdivision that was coming in, and Jack would key right in. Jack would give his overview of not only the tech review, what he did there, right on live screen, right then, walk us and the community right through the whole presentation, prior to the applicants, engineers doing their end. And then when they came in, they would take the keyboard and walk through their particulars. And if we had questions, not only we have a better aspect of it, we look at plans all the time, but this would be up on the screen where we could show particular details and people at home would understand. So when they came down the street and they saw this culvert or they saw this drainage ditch or something like that, they'd understand, they'd already know what was happening with it and why we were trying to move it to a certain degree, or what type of plantings. It would be live. It would be, through the computer, you could show exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, sure. And in addition, the technology is available now. We can just have an electronic pen. You could display it on this wall, not this wall perhaps, but this wall, and go up there and draw on it with this electronic pen. And people at home, since we'd be piping it right into this equipment, would be able to see what you're talking about. You don't have to say, go about 2/3 way down the screen, go over to this side. You could just put a circle around it.
Yep.
You know.
And what I've found is, we're talking with Dan Fortier, the town planner down there. He said their biggest hurdle was the expense of the equipment. The town was pretty apt to the whole scenario. The Board of Selectmen liked the interactiveness of it. So they thought that they would give it a whirl and just start small, and it grew very rapidly, where the town started helping fund it. And they didn't have to fund that much, because the donations that they received to put this in worked. So I think the avenues are where we'd be able to address stuff. We had a meeting here last night that was on CCAT, on the solar project down on Purchase Street. It would have been nice if we were able to maybe present the actual plans. Or maybe some, Mr. Tobolsky had some pictures of the effects on his foundation and stuff, excuse me, at his house. It would have been nice, he had a small 7-inch screen or something like that he was trying to show the selectmen. It would have been nice if he was able to walk over to Jack or the town administrator and say, upload this, and click it up and show it the effects of what a development of this size is taking place on it.
Could you do it that quickly?
That quickly, just one little click, boom, done. And it would have clicked right up, and we would have been able to see it. And not only us and the selectmen would have been able to see a better picture of it, but also the residents would be able to see the effects of,
Yeah.
what was happening there. So
And
There's
I
many
do want to,
avenues.
if I may interrupt, since I've already interrupted. We have the ability to do this right now. I mean, you can upload stuff to the website during the budget meetings, we uploaded, I think the town administrator's office uploaded all the budgets, so anybody watching at home could, follow along and look at the budgets that were being discussed. So you can upload stuff right now. The question is, how hard is it, once you get it on the website, to get it up on the wall so everybody can see it? So basically, what all this equipment does is make the people at Town Hall more effective, more efficient. You can get more work out of fewer people. That's what we've been doing in recent years. We've been, our staff has, through attrition, gone down to the absolute bare bones, and we're trying to get as much productivity out of our Town Hall workers as possible. And this is one way of increasing the productivity for very cheap money, no money for the town, or very, very minor money. So I was thinking, my original gift that Sarah and our company was proposing involved meeting room 3. We were going to put in an LCD TV, computer, wireless keyboard, mouse, internet connection, and that way you can go down there. You could work on. You could have a joint work project. You could work with people in other locations through Skype or Google+. You could have 4 or 5 people attend the meeting who weren't present, and I think that would be a good start. And once we put that in, I think once the Board of Selectmen sees the advantage of moving into the 90s with that technology, they'll see that it's not that threatening. It's not that, it's nothing to be concerned about. And at that point, then we could maybe proceed with the second half of the donation, which would involve 2 short-throw projectors. I understand there was some concern that it might somehow spoil the nice appearance of the room. I don't think that's the case, but
Could you, Steve, not to interrupt you this time, could you talk a little bit about the short throw projector things? Because that's the part that I didn't understand.
oh, well, it's basically a short throw projector is just a regular LCD projector that has a special lens that allows it to be very, very close to the wall. And so, for instance, it would, as I mentioned earlier, the projector would probably be right above Jack's head. But we'll
You
get
see
it.
them in hotels and conferences. And
Yeah.
they all
And
have.
basically what that means is you can go right up to the screen and not throw a shadow on the image, because the image is coming down from the ceiling at a very, very steep angle. So you can get right up to the screen without throwing a shadow. You can draw on the screen with an electronic pen. You can download directly from the projector into the CCAT, so there is no distortion or problem with that. You can do color correction. These walls are actually quite good for projection, but you notice they're beige instead of white. We can correct the colors for that as well. So the thing is that with very little impact to the appearance of this room, we can actually have this full multimedia setup. And, we can have remote attendees to the meetings, potentially, a lawyer, an engineer. We could put a lawyer over here and an engineer over here, and we can all argue back and forth.
Oh, that's
That's 2
and-
lawyers.
And exchange exchange documents in real time. And this is most important, exchange documents in real time in full public view. Anybody with an internet connection at home can see what you're doing, and that's a good thing.
So if we had, through you, Mr. Chair, if we had, say, Fuss and O'Neill down in Rhode Island or at another meeting where he was able to step out and help us, he had his, say, a drawing or a cut sheet or what have you, how would that work as an upload,
Well,
so we'd have it?
right now, all the town departments and committees and commissions have the ability to upload to the website.
Way beyond my scope.
No, you got it.
I just don't know how to do it.
I'll show you how to do it.
Okay.
It's real easy. And for somebody like Fuss and O'Neill, they don't have access to the website. You need a password. You need a login. If it was a policy to give special logins to consultants, we could do that. It's very easy to do, but it's not. It's outside the purview of. I'm here as a local business, not as a website committee, but I understand it's outside the purview of the website committee. But it's easy to do technically. Or he could just email you something and you could put it up.
I
It's no
would say,
problem.
much like we do with the paper copies for submissions, we'd have a deadline for electronic submissions.
Yeah. So for
And that,
example,
I know that's what Dan does in Deerfield, Dennis, is that he has a deadline, I have no idea what it is, and then he organizes it all and gets it all in a format, And I don't know this, but I bet you they all have iPads or something like that. I've heard of towns doing that. And everything's done electronic. I know 3 of you got iPads at least. And then you'd be looking on your iPad, I'd load it all to you and load it to the screen and the audience and the TV, and everybody would be.
Well, you could have Fuss and O'Neill Skyping in over here, and you can have the plans up over here, and
Yeah.
everybody can see everything.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, so I thought it was a pretty straightforward proposal. In my company's business, it would be very, very, very rare for me to go to a client where we couldn't be in instant contact to another office elsewhere. It would just be considered absolutely primitive not to be able to see somebody. You need to talk to somebody for 10 minutes and they're 2,000 miles away. That's not an issue.
Similar to like GoToMeeting.com.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, the actual mechanism, I said Skype, but it could be any mechanism you want.
Any one of those.
So basically, all I'm really proposing is giving the town a television set and a computer.
And
Yeah,
hopefully showing us how it works.
Yeah, you press the on button, and it works.
Okay. So I thought that this is what we had discussed at Redevelopment Authority, and that's why I invited Steve, because I think that every one of us here can understand how helpful it would be for us to do our job. You know, so just wanted you to hear from Steve. He's, I guess, the expert.
How could we set up something?
the
I
gift
think
is
it would
through
have
We
to
have to
be
talk to,
through the selectmen.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. The way I understand it is the gift was through the selectmen, they tabled it, and I believe the town administrator and Joanna from the RDA are developing policies for it. And I don't know where that's.
If I may, Jack, they're developing policies for remote participation in public meetings, and this has absolutely nothing to do with that.
But it's
it-
my understanding that was a condition of the selectmen.
It's a condition I never quite understood. In as much as you can have remote participation with a telephone
Yeah.
at an open meeting.
But my understanding, they're waiting for that.
okay. So when that gets taken care of, then we could start and
Well,
do
we
little
can't
things
start
at a
until the
time?
selectmen
Yeah.
accept it. So I
Okay.
think I'd like to think they're getting there.
Well, it sounds very interesting, and it sounds like it would especially be helpful to the planning board to present plans, and especially for the people at home to be able to see these things.
You know,
I
I'll
think
give
that's
you a-
very
Stare
important.
at the easel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know, I look at the meetings at home, and you could never really see the easel.
The easel,
You know,
the
I can see-
plans,
You don't really, you don't, yeah, I know, it's hard to see it from here.
Well,
Any other? I'll answer any question.
Does anybody else have any questions? I don't,
It's
I
pretty
think
straightforward.
yeah, I'd have to see it before I could ask questions about it, but it sounds like
yeah,
it could really
it's,
be helpful.
It probably looks pretty much like most of your living rooms.
Uh.
What's going to be downstairs, except maybe a little bit more professional, you know. Not that you don't have professional living rooms. I mean, it's a television, a computer connected to the television, an internet connection, a keyboard and a mouse, a webcam, and a table mic, and that's all you need. And my company has agreed. You're looking at 50% of the company right now. Has agreed to do whatever training is necessary, as well as purchase and installation. I previously spoken with Buildings and Grounds and the school's IT personnel in Smith, and the wiring inspector, Tom Emord, and they were all going to pitch in and you know, make sure that it's installed properly. Obviously, you don't want me pulling wires through that wall, because I'd probably end up electrocuting myself. But so all of that stuff's going to be done by people who know what they're doing, and I'll just do the stuff that I know.
perfect.
And the public viewing at home, they just have to turn on their TVs, right?
Yeah,
They wouldn't
and
have
if they
to.
want to additionally, if they happen to have a smartphone or a computer nearby, they might decide to print off the very questionable, you know, website committee budget or something like that to follow along. You know,
I'm
check
wondering
salary.
if, say that, I'm just looking forward on, say that this happens in town and we were able to get at least to start this thing. And I wonder how you guys would feel that you talked about a special access for different people, say that Fuss and O'Neill. Would we be able, and I'm just thinking out loud, will we be able to set up, say, a planning board access? And under the planning board access, we could have like Fuss and O'Neill or certain engineers would be able to use a certain access thing
Yeah, I'm gonna. I
through our
should have
department.
brought my two hats. So semantics consulting's going away.
Yep.
Website committees.
Well, it's
coming
just interesting on how that would work.
in. It's basically the website is set up so that it's actually a little bit in flux right now. We wanted to make it more secure than it was, but it's
Mhm.
pretty secure right now. Basically, planning board will have a login, and in the near future, planning board does have a login. You can post meetings. Somebody's been posting meetings and stuff very effectively for planning board. Jack, okay.
Well, yeah, I've got a lot of people. None of them are
But
working many
basically,
hours, but.
anybody with the login and the password can, I believe, each department has a set of permissions. What are you allowed to do? And you
Yeah.
guys can do pretty much whatever you want.
Yeah,
So
no,
you can post
I
There's
know.
a
meetings and
whole
have them.
list of, a menu of, okay, what do you want to do with this? Is it
Yeah.
an agenda, is it minutes, is it information?
I know
forget.
Bob does the RDA stuff.
Yep.
He's,
Yeah, Bob and I trained together. It took Bob, 90 seconds to get it all figured out. It's, that's a testament
Yeah.
to Bob, but also I think a testimony to how simple it is to do this.
yeah, I don't,
And
I'd probably fumble through it.
nope, it's supposed to be easy, and if it's not easy, it's not your fault, it's my fault, and I'll fix it.
My only, and I don't think this needs to be belabored now,
Yeah.
but I would like to take small steps before we start running
Yeah.
with engineers and lawyers tapping into websites and stuff.
Right.
I like the idea of having a deadline, having a conduit for that information. So what comes to you and to the public has been deciphered by a town official.
Right,
That's a good idea.
those are policy issues that are separate from the technical.
Yeah.
Shortly, if we can, find the time to do it, we are gonna augment our security, so there will be a planning board login, but that won't be enough. You'll have to have an individual login as well to get on, so that
We'll
way.
have to do an eye retina.
We can do that if you want. And actually, a lot of the places I work, you need your fingerprints before you can log on. So, and that's certainly feasible. I think it's overkill, but we could do that. It might be reasonable for a remote person like Fuss and O'Neill to have to give their fingerprint in order to get on.
Yeah.
Or we could just have them email the stuff to you.
I like that, at least until everyone's comfortable. If this comes to fruition, whenever it does, I think I'll go out to see Dan and Dennis. And I know that, I think Kingston does, a lot of the towns are doing this now. I know in Marshfield, the town actually bought the planning board all iPads. And the screens were already up, and that's how they operate.
Yeah, I don't want to scare anybody who wants to cut budgets. All I'm
No, and I'm not saying, I'm just making the point that this is the direction government's going.
Yeah, it's where business went in the mid-90s.
That's right.
And so I'm going to suggest what I would like to do, if you're in conversations with a selectman about this, if you want to start slow, I'd suggest doing meeting room 3. It'll take a little while to do. It'll give me, a month or 6 weeks or something to get it done. And what you're going to find is meeting room 3 will then become the most popular meeting room here, because it's just going to be so easy to conduct meetings there. And once we see the success of that, we see that, there is no negative effect to having the ability to communicate with each other and with remote people, then we may consider expanding it to other locations
Well,
as
maybe
well.
we can talk, through you, Chair, and try to reach out to the selectmen, see where they're at. Tell them that we had Steve in front of us, we talked about it, and I don't wanna speak for everybody, like the concept anyways. And see where they're at, and see if they've, if there's some issues that might be able to overcome, or it's just not gonna happen, or what. I tell you, you know, I've said it time and time again, I love it, just being able to cue in to Dennis and see what's cooking and what's happening and, you know, not having to be there. It's kind of tough for me to be there on nights that we're here. You know, but at least I can stay in touch with what's happening all the time.
Just a little plug for the website. You guys know that your videos are posted on the website,
Yeah.
and everybody can get to them.
And it's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's you have to think CCAT does all the work. We just link to it, but
That's all right.
but that's I think where we're going. We have terrific facility with CCAT. We have a very good website technically, artistically maybe it needs some improvement. If we can wire the town hall a little bit better, what you're going to see is a synergy is going to emerge between CCAT website and the local infrastructure. And what we're going to see is that we're going to get order of magnitude improvement in communication and efficiency by leveraging all these things with each other.
I just like the idea of the outreach to the community. It'd be so much cleaner. It'd be clearer anyways. Because I don't know if you guys were able to watch any of the budget hearings, which is very entertaining, but trying to see on the walls the numbers. And I've got pretty good glasses now, and so.
You thought that was entertaining?
Interesting, okay?
Any other?
Sounds
No,
a
I'd
great
like to
idea.
thank you, Steve, for coming in and seeing us. And
Anytime.
I know I asked you to come to RDA and BDC. You'll be there Monday night, so I appreciate, you know, everybody interested in this. It's great.
And Jack knows to remind me about Monday, otherwise I'll forget.
I heard.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
I like to
Thanks, Steve.
remind people,
You're the remind guy.
right, Kevin?
You are a wonderful reminder.
Of what?
It helps, don't it?
It does. It does. All the days kind of roll into one.
Okay.
So how will we find out what the selectmen are doing?
Oh, I'll keep you apprised.
Okay.
I've been told that they don't expect to do anything until June, maybe later, so this has got a long time.
Maybe just send a memo to him saying, you know, we talked to Steve and
Memo
he did
to
a
whom?
presentation and
Memo to whom?
to the selectmen, to the chair. Just tell him, you know, that we're interested to see where we're going and
Okay.
more than happy to answer any questions or whatever.
Okay, thanks. Under new business, we have the planning board appointment to Serped.
Yeah, you'll see in your packet a letter. Sorry about the old school, but we didn't have a lot to hand out, so it was silly to go into the binders. Just, it's the annual appointment for the planning board representative to Serped.
Right now, it's Bruce, right? Bruce, you still wanna keep doing it?
I'll continue to do that.
Make a
If,
motion to reappoint Bruce Mackey as our rep. That was easy.
You have a motion, a second,
Second.
and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Kevin,
Bruce.
you've been getting off easy.
We're gearing up for him. Thanks, Bruce, I appreciate that. I know it takes time.
Next is the scheduling of public hearings for the ATM zone changes.
That's annual town meeting. Someone asked me what that meant. As you know, we have the zone change for the Federal Road, 2 parcels. I'm ready for that, but we also have a citizen participation. We have 2 articles that have a public hearing. One is for family dwelling additions. It's on the back. Now, I did ask Mr. Belbin because I have no indication that this is supposed to be for zoning. But he confirmed to me today that this was supposed to be zoning. So I guess I gotta find a place for this for the public hearing in the zoning bylaw. I don't know what to say. And then the second one, is a definition, which, a whole host of definitions, so I can easily find a home for that.
Okay,
These are both with accessory apartments.
so we have, you have a date you
Well,
wanna do?
I wanted to talk to you, town meeting is June 3rd. I'm gonna suggest we go with May 7th, in case it has to be continued, we'd still have May 21st. I don't know if any of these are controversial. I learn lessons every day about
7:15?
controversy. Yes. for
I'd like to
May
make a motion to set the public hearings for all the annual town meeting zone changes for May 7th at 7:15.
Here's a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. We go on to other business. We have planning board notes.
Mr.
Do you
Chair,
have anything to say?
if I could, last night I attended the meeting that the Board of Selectmen had on the Purchase Street Solar Project. I was there solely as a citizen, not as a representative of this board. I want to make that perfectly clear, even though the chairman of the selectmen recognized me as a planning board member, but that's okay. Everybody knew who I was anyways. There was a very good meeting that took place. Copeland and Page was here with Mr. Corbo and I always forget,
Goldrosen.
Mr. Goldrosen, representing the Board of Selectmen. There was some discussion from the citizens stating their case and what the concerns were on the project that we approved. As you know, and if you might not know, that this was, the building permit is being appealed to the zoning board of appeals. I believe the date is gonna be
April 18th.
April 18th, is ZBA is gonna hear them. As a concern on our end of it, and to be thorough, there was some discussion from some of the citizens that the project was too close to a couple of the houses. I went out this morning with Jack, with a tape measure, and measured from the fence lines from the actual physical house, and they're not over that distance. They're well within their requirements. So that was the concern that I just wanted to follow up with from some of the comments, that it was way too close to somebody's house. Just to keep you guys updated, I don't know where the selectmen are going with this. I don't know what the next step is. I do know that it's in ZBA's hands, so stay tuned.
Anybody
all I
else have
got.
anything? Thank you, Will. Anybody else? All right, we'll go on to planners' notes.
Okay, speaking, I forgot to mention this when Steve, we had a business roundtable meeting this morning, which was excellent. Darlene came.
Yes, it was very nice.
It was presenting on social media again and very detailed, and we're even gonna bring it to another level. But to bring up Steve's point, the projector town hall has, we've had it since I've been here, and I've been here 8 years, that's how old it is. The computer that the presenter brought, the laptop couldn't connect because it didn't have the connections anymore, because ours is so old. And you can imagine, computers 8 years ago, or 9 years ago, if it was new when I got here, and I don't know if it was. So it just begs the question. But anyway, we had a great roundtable, and we're starting to get more people coming every month. Can't wait to see Sinclair Electric there, or maybe Country Mile Landscaping. Let's see, I am getting more interest on the Holmes property. The Holmes property is across from Eagle Gas. I know I told you that ServPro was interested in it. I had another call today from another gentleman who has a landscaping, and, not fertilizer, but, agricultural business is all he told me, and I thought it was Agway, and he said, no, I'm Agway's competitor, and he's in Middleborough. He wouldn't tell me the name of his business, but he's given them a letter of intent tomorrow, so we may be seeing that. Getting a lot of interest on the Whitworth property. The auction is Thursday at 11. The broker has told me he's trying to sell it or get enough interest that they'll delay the auction. I had 2 phone calls today from prospective buyers, and I went through the whole spiel with them, so hopefully by the next meeting I'll have either an auction to report or a delay and the reason why. 2 more things. I got a call from Mrs. Leary and her son Angus. They own the property right across from USA Fitness and next to the Nash Nursery. It's a house, it's actually 3 parcels. There's quite a bit of wet, but there is upland as well, and it's zoned commercial. And they've had ongoing interest. And they asked me to present just informally, just to see how you feel. They have some interest from a self-storage facility to go there. And currently it is not allowed in an HC zone. And so they wanted to know, test the waters to see how the board would feel about going to an eventual town meeting, obviously not this one, to modify that at least by special permit. I am gonna have this on the BDC agenda as well on Monday, because I know they were very instrumental into not allowing them in that zone. So I told them I would talk to you about it, see how you feel.
You looking for comment?
I am.
Well, I'll go back to my IDC days when I first got on Industrial Development Committee. There was a proposal that came forward to the planning board and also Conservation Commission, which is now the Carver and Adel property. But back then it was the Scanlon Harris property, where there was a self-storage facility that was proposed and got permitted through the planning board and through the Conservation Commission. There was a lot of heavy lifting during that process, extensive Conservation Commission investigation up there on the spotted turtles and stuff like that, which really tied that up for quite a while. During that time, there was really not that much flavor from the community for that type of facility up there. Because of the trying to maximize the tax dollar, trying to maximize jobs, trying to lure businesses into town, that type of thing. My attitude is that though I don't want to restrict anybody from doing anything with their property, I would personally think that we could do better for them. And I think that with a lot of the spurt of interest up there and the activity up there, as people say, activity draws activity, I think they'll have better opportunity for a better use of their property and maximize the benefit to the community. But that's my 2 cents worth.
What's the current zoning
It's
use?
highway commercial.
So what does that include?
Well, it's pretty liberal. It allows all kinds of, obviously, commercial, drive-throughs, restaurants, retail, gas stations, some of it by special permit. I mean, what I told Mrs. Leary was, I recall when the BDC redid the zoning, and they were the proponents of the rezoning of North Carver, that issue came up. And I told the Learys this, is the problem that the BDC had with the highway commercial is that they just invested $8.5 million in a water system, and promoting storage facilities. They don't need water, they don't really pay much taxes, and there's zero employment, really, maybe one person. So it's not maximizing the land. I told her that. Now, I will admit this, that they have a tough piece of property there. It's not, even though I think they own like 25 acres, maybe less than that, actually. There's very little upland. I'm gonna guess 5 acres, maybe 4. I'm gonna guess that. I don't know for sure. And so they got a tough, a difficult piece of property. You're not gonna see a Walmart there. It's too tiny. Well, you could see something else. But, so I appreciate the struggle. I know that they've had some interest from gas stations and interest from convenience store gas station types. And maybe there was an insurance company, I can't remember looking there. So it's not an easy call in my mind. It's not like, oh, well, God, no, we gotta maximize this for something else. It's not like the Whitworth property.
Right.
It's tiny, so it's a tough call in my mind.
But there is, through you, Mr. Chair, there is a facility that's over in, geez, I wanna say Taunton, Raynham. What's that, Route 105 or something like that, I forget the route, where there's, a USA storage facility on one side of this main road. And across the street at one time was all just woods and stuff like that. Now there's restaurants, there's a Home Depot right there. And so they can intermingle. Just one of those things. You know that it's there, and I don't know.
Anthony Alonje at the Landmark Building has some storage facilities in the back of that building. They were here since I've been here. Not many, I don't know how many there are. So, one thing we could do is kinda see how BDC feels about it. Since they're the ones who were proponents for eliminating it. Not eliminating it, but it is allowed in other zones, in industrial zones, they are allowed.
Right now, all that area is just residential though, but although it's zoned.
Well, the Nash Nursery and the Country Mouse are next to it. They're agricultural retail. Across the street, of course, is
yeah.
the plaza.
Yeah.
And gee, could have had a map up here. But where Country Mouse is, the wetlands start cutting in, and then they actually hit 58, and then it goes back up to where Carprianato is and Vinnie Nacero's house, so it kind of goes like that. And her property is kind of stuck there. But it's developable, there's not a question about that. There's enough acreage to develop there, but not a lot.
Or if it was combined with an adjacent,
If it combined with the
Easily, yeah.
Nashes, it'd be a lot of property, but the Nashes have much less wetlands, because the wetlands kind of go away from the road that way. So, I didn't know what you wanted to do.
well, since the BBC had looked at it, how long ago have you looked
2
at that?
years, 2.5, 3, maybe 3 years now.
I'd say at least 3.
They're gonna have a meeting Monday.
Would you be willing to take a look at that and reconsider, or just look and see if it's feasible now?
I think Jack has it coming to us, so we'll
Okay.
take a peek at it, and we'll at least get a feeling of the board. And at the time when we looked at rezoning up there, we were looking at the DIF district. We were looking at how to enhance the water district area and that end of it, and trying to maximize dollars and business and jobs and all that other stuff. So I know that previous members of the board and the committee and stuff did an awful lot of work on that. So we'll bring it up and we'll see where it is, and I'll bring it back to you and let you know what they said.
That'd be good. Thank you. Thank you, Will.
My last
Yeah.
piece is, I wanted to thank Darlene again, Kathy had told me in the interview that she had this week, she went to California. She's a professional dancer, so she dances. She's also taken a week off in June, that she told me during the interview. And then from now on, she said it'll just be regular vacation, if she stays. We still don't even know the answer to that yet. But I wanted to thank Darlene, you know, I had to drag her in here. Thank you
Again.
very, very much.
She would have
You're
missed
welcome.
us.
Would you call me the Kelly girl?
No, that's me, the Kelly girl. Just all over the place.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right, we go on to the approval of the minutes of March 19th, 2013.
Make a motion to approve as written.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that was unanimous. Correspondence.
I am none.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, motion, second,
Second.
those in favor?
Aye.
Good night.